In this video, I want to show you how to dimension in model space rather than in paper space like we've been dimensioning. The advantage to dimensioning in paper space is that we typically only need one dimension style. That style will be whatever, will hold whatever values you want. The main key is that the dimension scale will remain one. We want all of our dimensions to appear the same size no matter what size sheet of paper. This looks smaller, but that's just because we're zoomed away on a bigger sheet of paper. If I zoom into here real tight and I check the measurement model of the height of this, you can see it's near that 1/8 of an inch that we've been looking for. If I go to my B size sheet and I zoom in and I check a measurement here roughly, you can see that yes, it's that same size. So our text is the same size on our sheet of paper, and that's what we're looking for. Now we'll go back to the A size sheet and zoom out, and what I'm going to do is delete these dimensions, and we're going to go back to the model tab, and we're going to do our dimensioning in here. But before we do that, we need to modify or create a new style with the inverse of the plotting scale in mind. Now if you remember, this is zoomed down, or scaled down 4 times, so it sits on the sheet of paper. Or so it fits on this sheet of paper. And if I place a dimension in paper space or in model space, it's going to be shrunk down by a factor of 4. What I need to do is go in here and go into my dimension styles dialog box, and we'll leave regular alone, but we'll make a brand new one using and starting with all the settings inside of regular, but we'll call this one, I'll get rid of the copy of and say regular, and we'll just put a -4 on here because we're going to be making this one 4 times bigger, and I'll continue. And the only change, the absolute only change that I'm going to make is on the fit tab, and here I'm going to use an overall scale factor of, double click in there to be able to type over the top of it, of 4. And now every single value that's listed in all of these other dialog boxes, most notably on the text tab, this is going to be multiplied by that factor of 4. So on the model, my text height is going to be 1/2 an inch, but when it gets reduced by a factor of 4, it's going to come back to that 1/8 of an inch when we look at it through the viewport. So with that, I will say OK. Now regular 4 being a brand new style, that becomes the current style. So I'll close this up, and I will place just a single dimension. We don't need to fully dimension this, we're just learning about scaling, and I put that over there. Looks kind of big, but when we go to our layout, there it is, and it appears exactly the same size as it did when I placed dimensions with the regular text style on the paper space, or on the paper itself. If we go to our layout 2, where I did not delete that vertical dimension that we placed in paper space, you can see that I have our paper space. Oh, we got to, this is wrong because this viewport is scaled at a different height or a different scale factor. So what I'll do is, this is way too tight to there anyway, so even though it's a B-size sheet, it's probably more proper to place this at that 1/2 or that 3 inches equals a foot scale factor anyway. So what I'm going to do is go back into model space. I'm going to unlock this viewport, and I am going to change the scale factor to 3 inches equals a foot, and lock it. And now you can see that the dimension that I placed with the regular 4 style in Modelspace is the exact same height and size as the regular style that was placed in Paperspace. So we can dimension in Modelspace, but we have to change that scale factor to the inverse of the viewport. If I wanted to have this at that 6 inches equals a foot scale factor, I would have to create a whole separate scale factor with that scale factor in mind. A whole separate dimension style with that scale factor in mind, a regular 2, so that it only scales it up twice as big. And when I scale the viewport down 2 times, the text height comes back into that 1/8 of an inch height. So that is Paperspace dimensioning. In the next video, I'll talk about what if I wanted to have this B-size sheet at 6 inches equals a foot and the A-size sheet at 3 inches equals a foot, but I only wanted to place one dimension in here, not a regular 4 dimension and a regular 2 dimension, and have them both appear in both viewports. We'll talk about in the next video.